Alright, today I'm going to tackle the tricky issue of abortion. Let me start off with saying I disagree with abortion. Don't disagree with contraception, but I do disagree with abortion. I don't think it's healthy. I think women who have it are scarred because of it. Ultimately, they can suffer numerous medical risks in the process, and that abortion ultimately does kill a life, a human life. Now, having said that, let's look at abortion from a more practical sense. What can we as a society do dealing with abortion? Well, obviously, the controlling of pre-viability abortion is very difficult. How can you make a woman keep a child? If a woman says, for whatever reason, at this point in time I want to end this pregnancy, what are you going to do to stop her? Are you going to set police on her and watch her 24/7? Are you going to send some private guard? Are you going to put her in jail or medical institute? What? How are you going to prevent her from doing things that will harm that child? So, in my sense of understanding, it is impossible to actually have real controls or limits on pre-viability abortion. Now, post-viability abortion, this is past the point that a child can safely be born. There's little reason to have an abortion at that point in time. If the child can be safely born and live, then why not simply birth the child? Sure, the child might be premature, but a lot of premature kids live. And at that point in time, if the mother's primary concern is they don't want to have to deal with a child anymore, they don't want to deal with the issue of dealing with a child, then they can simply put that child up for adoption. They can never have anything to do with the child ever again. And the process of birthing the child is just as time-consuming as the process of having the abortion, and is also infinitely more safe. So past the point of viability, there is no reason to have the abortion, short of some kind of twisted dislike for your child. Now, what's the point of viability? Well, we can argue that 24/7. Modern medicine is making viability much, much earlier as time goes by, and we as society will have to decide how much medical care do we want to provide for premature children. Another issue that is brought up is the issue of adoption, or as they say, well, you put the child in the care of the state, it's in foster care or whatever the government has placed up for it. It's such a horrible environment, they'd better off dead. Well, if you ask most anyone who has been a foster kid, would they rather be dead? Would they rather have been aborted? Or are they happy with being alive today? Chances are they'd rather be alive. Now, honestly speaking, if you think that these foster places are such a hellhole that it's better off to be dead than to be in it, then hey, the only merciful thing is to kill all the kids in foster care. I mean, seriously, if it's such a terrible thing, it's be unethical to keep them in there. It's like a concentration camp. Why would you want to do that? So, obviously, the idea that because foster care is so messed up or isn't perfect or whatever, or kids won't get adopted or whatever the argument is, really doesn't cut it. Because, in truth, the child will probably find a way to make a successful life for themselves. Some may not, but in general, they'll probably have about the same odds that anyone else does. Now, a lot of my problem with the people who say abortion is they're pro-choice. Past the point of viability, you're no longer just dealing with one life anymore. That other life inside you is fully capable of living. To say it's choice to kill this other life is not some kind of love for abortion. It's actually obscuring the facts of what's happening. That child is fully capable of living outside of you. And at that point in time, you should really seriously let that child have a chance. If you have not acted well before then you don't have an excuse. Anyhow, that's my position on abortion. Thank you. Have a good evening, and may God bless.